My girlfriend looked at me with this disgusted expression and said, "Ugh, you're so negative. I'm manifesting abundance and you're blocking my energy with your poverty mindset." This was right after I'd questioned why she needed to spend $800 on a crystal healing retreat when we were supposedly struggling to make rent. I just smiled and said, "You're absolutely right. I should align with abundance." Then I quietly canceled her access to my family trust fund that she had no idea existed. And suddenly, her authentic spiritual living became very expensive when she actually had to fund it herself. She's now working at a bank in Ohio after her wellness coaching empire collapsed, and she had to move back in with her parents. But let me back up because this whole situation was absolutely insane from the beginning. So I'd been dating this girl for about 18 months. She went by Sage, though her real name was Jennifer, and she was this wellness influencer with about 40,000 Instagram followers. All about manifestation, crystal healing, sacred feminine energy, that whole world. I met her at a coffee shop where she was filming herself making moon water or something equally mystical. I work for a nonprofit that helps with housing advocacy. Pretty modest salary, maybe 45,000 a year, nothing glamorous. I drive a 10-year-old Honda, live in a simple one-bedroom apartment, shop at Trader Joe's. Basic millennial struggling in the city life, right? What Sage didn't know and what nobody really knew was that my family has money. Like serious money. My grandfather built a tech company back in the 80s, sold it, and set up trust funds for all the grandkids. I've had access to about $2 million since I turned 25, but I've never touched it. I wanted to make my own way, prove I could succeed without family money, all that idealistic stuff. So from Sage's perspective, she was dating this broke nonprofit guy who could barely afford our date nights. And honestly, I liked that she thought that. It felt more authentic somehow. But here's where it started getting weird. Sage was constantly spending money. I'm talking constantly. $500 for a breathwork certification, $300 for a set of singing bowls, $800 for a weekend retreat on embodying your goddess energy, another $600 for some online course about quantum manifestation. Meanwhile, I'm paying our rent. I'm covering groceries, utilities, streaming services, everything normal. She'd occasionally Venmo me $20 for coffee, but that was about it. When I'd bring up her spending, she'd get this look like I was spiritually deficient. "Money is just energy," she'd say. "When you operate from abundance, abundance flows to you. You're stuck in scarcity consciousness." Right, scarcity consciousness. That's what we're calling basic budgeting now. The thing that really started bothering me was how she talked about my job. "You're doing such important work for your soul's evolution," she'd say. "Even though you're not making much money, you're living authentically." Like poverty was this noble spiritual choice I'd made instead of just having a normal job. And her content, oh my God. Every day she'd post these videos about choosing abundance over fear and releasing limiting beliefs about money. She'd film herself buying these expensive wellness products, talking about how investing in yourself is the highest form of self-love. Her followers would comment things like, "I wish I could afford that crystal set," and she'd respond with, "Abundance is a mindset, beautiful soul." Abundance is a mindset, but apparently rent is my responsibility. The breaking point came in September. She announced she wanted to go to this crystal healing retreat in Sedona, $800 for 3 days of activating your abundance frequency, or whatever. "That sounds amazing," I said. "How are you going to pay for it?" She looked at me like I'd asked her to explain quantum physics. "I'm manifesting it." "Okay, but like practically speaking, with what money?" "The universe will provide." "The universe or me?" That's when she hit me with that line about my poverty mindset and blocking her energy. I sat there for a minute watching her scroll through the retreat's Instagram, already mentally packing for this trip she couldn't afford, and something just clicked. "You know what?" I said. "You're absolutely right. I should align with abundance." She looked up, excited. "Really? You're going to support my spiritual growth?" "Absolutely. I think you should absolutely live authentically and follow your path." "Thank you, baby. I knew you'd understand eventually." That night, while she was doing her evening meditation practice, I logged into my bank account and made a little change. See, what Sage didn't know was that for the past 6 months, I'd been quietly transferring $2,000 a month from my trust fund into our joint checking account. Not because I had to, but because I thought we were building something together. I thought her business was just getting off the ground and needed some support. Turns out, she'd been taking that money every single month for her business expenses. The breathwork certification, the singing bowls, the quantum manifestation course, all of it. My money being spent while she posted about abundance mindset. So I canceled the automatic transfer, just like that. No more mystery $2,000 appearing in our account every month. Then I did something else. I called my bank and asked for detailed statements showing exactly where our joint account money had been going for the past 6 months. Let me tell you, seeing it all laid out was quite the experience. 3 days later, Sage came home from her part-time job at the yoga studio looking stressed. "Something weird happened," she said. "I was trying to book that Sedona retreat and our account didn't have enough money." "Oh no," I said. "How much is in there?" "Like $300, which is impossible because we always have more than that." "Right. We always have more than that because of mysterious money that she thought was just regular income. Maybe check your expenses," I suggested. "See where the money went." She spent the next hour going through our banking app, getting more and more confused. "This doesn't make sense. Where's the rest of our money?" "What do you mean? We always have at least 2,000 in checking, always. Even after paying bills, there's always money left over." I watched her trying to figure out this puzzle that she'd never thought to question before. "Maybe you've been spending more than you realized." "But on what? I only buy things for my business, and that's an investment in our future." Our future. Her business, my money. "How much have you spent on business stuff this month?" I asked. She got defensive immediately. "It's not spending, it's investing. The retreat in Sedona would have generated so much content, plus the networking opportunities, plus the personal growth that translates to business growth." "Right, but how much?" She was quiet for a long time. Then she said, "Maybe $1,200 this month." $1,200 on my money. While lecturing me about poverty mindset. "Where did you think that money was coming from?" I asked. "What do you mean?" "I mean you make maybe $800 a month from your yoga classes and coaching clients. I make about $3,000 after taxes. Our rent alone is $1,800. So where did you think the extra money for your business investments was coming from?" I watched her face as she tried to do the math. You could literally see the moment when she realized the numbers didn't add up. I thought you were making more money than you told me. Why would I lie about my salary?" "I don't know. Maybe you were embarrassed about being in a lower tax bracket." Lower tax bracket. This woman thought I was secretly making more money and lying about it rather than questioning where our mysteriously abundant bank account was coming from. "I've been completely honest about my income," I said. "So where do you think our extra money comes from?" She just stared at me. "I don't know. Have you ever wondered about it?" "No, I just trusted that abundance was flowing to us because we're aligned with our purpose." Abundance was flowing to us, from my trust fund, that she didn't know about. That's when I realized how deep this went. She'd built her entire identity around this idea that she was living authentically, manifesting abundance, creating a business through pure spiritual alignment. But the whole thing was subsidized by money she didn't even know existed. Her Instagram posts about choosing abundance over fear, funded by family money she was unaware of. Her expensive certifications and retreats, same thing. Her ability to work part-time and focus on her calling. Only possible because someone else was covering the bills. "I need to show you something," I said and pulled out my laptop. I showed her the bank statements, 6 months of automatic transfers from my personal account to our joint account. $2,000 every month like clockwork. "What is this?" she asked. "That's where our abundance has been coming from." "But this is your account. How do you have this money?" And that's when I told her about the trust fund, about my family's money that I'd never mentioned because I wanted to live independently, about how I'd been quietly supporting her business for 6 months while she posted about manifestation and abundance mindset. She just sat there, staring at the laptop screen. Then she said, "Why didn't you tell me?" "Because I wanted to see if you'd ever question where the money was coming from. I wanted to see if you'd notice that our finances didn't make sense. But I trusted the universe to provide. The universe was my grandfather's tech company." She was quiet for a really long time. Then she said, "So what now? Now you get to actually live authentically. You get to fund your own spiritual journey." "What does that mean?" "It means no more automatic transfers. It means if you want to spend $800 on a retreat, you need to earn $800 first." The look on her face was like I'd told her gravity was optional. "But what about my business? What about my growth? What about the retreat? What about it? I can't afford it without the extra money." "Then I guess you can't go." And that's when she really lost it. Started talking about how I was sabotaging her spiritual growth, how I was using money to control her, how this was toxic masculine behavior designed to keep her small. "I'm not keeping you small," I said. "I'm just not making you big anymore." She ended up not going to the retreat. And the month after that, she couldn't afford her breathwork certification renewal. The month after that, she had to sell some of her crystal collection to make her portion of the rent. But here's where it gets really interesting. Her Instagram content started changing. Instead of posting about abundance and manifestation, she started posting about financial challenges and the spiritual lessons of scarcity. Her followers started asking what happened to her abundant lifestyle, and she couldn't really explain it without admitting that her whole abundance thing had been funded by someone else. Then some other wellness influencers started commenting. Turned out a bunch of them had noticed her sudden shift from expensive retreats to budget spirituality, and they were calling her out for promoting a lifestyle she couldn't actually afford. "It's giving trust fund baby vibes," one of them commented on her post about a free beach meditation instead of her usual expensive workshop. She was furious. "How dare they question my authenticity? I'm being real about my journey." "Are you?" I asked. "What do you mean?" "I mean, are you being real? Because your authentic journey for the past 6 months has been funded by money you didn't know existed. So what's actually authentic here?" That's when she really started spiraling. She couldn't maintain her expensive spiritual lifestyle without my money, but she couldn't admit to her followers that her abundance mindset was just having a sugar daddy she didn't know about. She was stuck. Her coaching business started falling apart because her clients had signed up for the abundant lifestyle version of her, not the struggling to pay rent version. Hard to sell abundance coaching when you're posting about choosing between groceries and gas money. We broke up about 2 months later. She said she needed to find someone who understood her spiritual path and wouldn't use money as a weapon. I said she needed to find someone who could afford her spiritual path because I was done funding it. Last I heard, she'd moved back to Ohio to live with her parents and was working at a bank. A bank. The person who used to post about how traditional employment was soul-crushing was processing mortgage applications in suburban Ohio. Her Instagram is still up, but now it's all about finding abundance in simplicity and the spiritual lessons of traditional work. She's basically rebranded her whole thing around making normal life sound enlightened. The irony is that she's probably more authentic now than she ever was when I was funding her lifestyle. Working a regular job, living with family, dealing with actual financial constraints instead of pretending money is just energy that flows when you're spiritually aligned. Me. I learned that when someone talks constantly about abundance while depending on your money, they're not manifesting anything except your credit card statement. I learned that authenticity is pretty easy when someone else is paying for it. And I learned that the most spiritual thing you can do sometimes is to check the bank statements. My new girlfriend works in marketing and pays for her own yoga classes. When she talks about abundance, she means we're abundant because we both contribute to our life together. When she buys crystals, which she does occasionally because they're pretty, she uses her own money and doesn't claim it's changing her frequency. It's refreshingly unenlightened and absolutely wonderful. The best part, she thinks the whole trust fund thing is kind of funny. "So you're secretly rich but you choose to work at a nonprofit and drive a Honda," she asked when I told her. That's either very evolved or very weird. I told her it's probably both, but at least it's honest. And in a world full of people monetizing their spiritual journeys while someone else pays the bills, honest feels pretty revolutionary.